Have you ever wondered how Albanians greet each other in different regions? In today's lesson, I will walk you through the most common greetings Albanians use, not only within the country of Albania, but also in other territories where Albanians live. This is also my first video in this format, so if you have any feedback or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Now, without further ado, let's start with the first greeting, which is going to be hello. Now, remember that in Albanian, for hello, typically we have two expressions. You can either say përshëndetje, 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 or tungjatjeta, tungjatjeta, tungjatjeta. Now, both of these expressions are interchangeably used. So you can either say përshëndetje or tungjatjeta. Just remember that përshëndetje is more common, even though personally I prefer more tungjatjeta because the meaning is very beautiful. Tungjatjeta, it comes from three words. Tungjatjeta, which means may your life last, or may you have a very, very long life. On the other hand, përshëndetje comes from the word për, which means for, and shëndet, which means health. So remember, for hello, përshëndetje, përshëndetje, or tungjatjeta, tungjatjeta. Then another very common expression, which you can use it in the informal conversations, is going to be hi, or in Albanian, what do we have? Ç'kemi, ç'kemi, ç'kemi. As I mentioned, this phrase, it means what do we have, or basically what's up. Ç'kemi, ç'kemi. It's more common among friends, family, or people you know very well. If it's a formal conversation, always make sure to use përshëndetje or tungjatjeta. Informal, ç'kemi, ç'kemi. Now let's see carefully how can we say how are you. Now remember that in Albanian we have two forms. So one for the formal and then another one for informal. Very common or very similar like most Indo-European languages, French, Spanish, or Italian. So for formal, for how are you, in Albania you can say si jeni, si jeni. And then for informal, si je, si je. So once again, si jeni, or si je, si je. Now, if you have just started learning Albanian, you should be aware that here we have two major dialects. We have first the Geg dialect, which is spoken in the north of Albania, Kosova, North Macedonia, Montenegro, and Serbia. And then we have the Tosk dialect, which is spoken in the south of Albania, Italy, Greece, and North Macedonia. So the official language of Albanian is mostly based on the Tosk dialect. However, we also have the Geg dialect as well incorporated into the language. Now, let's see some specific phrases on how to say how are you in this dialect. Now, remember that in the Geg dialect, to say how are you, you can say qyshje, qyshje, qyshje. Especially if you travel to Kosova, you might hear this phrase all the time, qyshje. Another very typical expression you might hear in Kosova might also be the phrase a je lodh, which doesn't really mean how are you, but it means are you tired, basically. A je lodh, a je lodh. Now let's move on with how can we greet during the different times of the day, starting with good morning. For good morning, in Albanian you can say mirëmëngjes, mirëmëngjes, mirëmëngjes. Then you might also hear shorter versions, mirëmjes, mirëmjes. If you travel to Shkodër, which is a city in the north of Albania, you might also hear this expression, nadja mirë, nadja mirë. And then if you travel to the south of Albania, you can also use the expression si u gdhive, si u gdhive, which literally means how did you wake up, si u gdhive. But as I told you, the most common expression to use to say good morning is of course mirëmëngjes, mirëmëngjes. Then we have good afternoon, mirdita, mirdita, mirdita. And good evening, mirëmbrëma, mirëmbrëma, mirëmbrëma. Then we have good night and sweet dreams. In Albanian, for good night, you can say natën e mirë, Natën e mirë. Natën e mirë. And for sweet dreams, gjumë të ëmbël. Gjumë të ëmbël. Gjumë të ëmbël. Remember that sweet dreams, word by word in Albanian, translates to sweet sleep. Because gjumë in Albanian is sleep. And then ëmbël means sweet. Gjumë të ëmbël. Gjumë të ëmbël. And now let's learn together how can you welcome someone into your house. If one person is coming, you can say mirë se erdhe. Mirë se erdhe. Mirë se erdhe. And then if two or more people are coming, then you can say mirë se vini. Mirë se vini. Now, if you want to reply to this expression, if you are one person, you can say mirë se të gjeta. Mirë se të gjeta. So if one person is welcoming you into her or his house, you can say mirë se të gjeta. Mirë se të gjeta. Then if a group of people are welcoming you into their house, then you can say mirë se ju gjeta. Mirë se ju gjeta. Mirë se ju gjeta. It's a pleasure. Është kënaqësi. Është kënaqësi. Është kënaqësi. Nice to meet you. Gëzohem që u takuam. Gëzohem që u takuam. Gëzohem që u takuam. Now let's learn some goodbyes, starting with the most common expression. Miru pafshim. Miru pafshim. Miru pafshim. This phrase is very beautiful because goodbye in Albanian, word by word, it means may I see you well again. Mir u pafshim. Miru pafshim. If you want to just say bye, then you can simply say pafshim. Pafshim. Remember that if you travel to Kosova for just bye, you might also hear the expression tung. 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 Have a nice day. Ditën e mirë. Ditën e mirë. Ditën e mirë. Have a good time. Kalofsh mirë. Kalofsh mirë. See you tomorrow. Shihemi nesër. Shihemi nesër. And see you soon. Shihemi së shpejti. Shihemi së shpejti. And that's it for today's lesson. I hope the lesson was clear and useful. And if you want to learn more Albanian, don't forget that I offer live classes via Zoom or self-paced courses where you can learn Albanian from the comfort of your own. Just send me an email at learnship@yahoo.com and we can start from there. See you soon. Miru pafshim.